Says, Tati, please, no, you can't come. We have official business we have to take care of. Now, in this house, believe it or not, in the old small city of Europe over there, they had a dog. And the dog's name was Heshi. And Heshi, the dog, is pouncing all around. And he's pouncing all around the room over there. And as he's pouncing around and the father walks out the room, Heshi follows the father, and the father doesn't say a word to the dog. The dog's allowed to go out. And Chaim C says, that's really fair. I can't go with my father. The dog's allowed to go. Fine. The mother told him. He begins getting his stuff ready. He pulls his tefillin. He has a gold watch that he got for his bar mitzvah. A few other valuable objects. And that's about it. The Nazis in Mach Shemam, they come in and they start taking over the town. And I'll spare you all of the details because we know enough of these details already. But to make a very long story short, the next thing he knows is that he's being taken off to the cattle cars and he's being taken off into the concentration camps. And all the time that he was there, he kept thinking one thing to himself, and that is, I must make sure that I keep my connection with Avinu Shebashamayim, with my Father in heaven. So how did he do this? He smuggled his tefillin into the concentration camps. And he kept them tightly packed on his body. And everywhere that he would go, his tefillin came along with him. And every morning that he put on his tefillin, he would say, this is my connection, to you, Ribono Shalom. I'm not going to lose you. And one day they go on a very long march. And as they're going on this march, suddenly after miles and miles and miles, they call halt. And he's standing towards the back of the line. He looks in the front and he sees the Nazis are going to each and every one of these young men, and they are feeling them out to see if they're carrying anything, and they're checking them to make sure that they have nothing on them. And he's got the tefillin underneath his shirt. And he knows that if he gets caught, he's going to get killed on the spot. So he's far away from the Nazi guards. And he leans down, he begins digging underneath into the ground a hole. And he takes out his tefillin and he puts the tefillin into the hole. Just as he's standing up, there's another young Nazi guard who watched the entire thing take place. And the guard walks over and he says, what was that, Jew? And he said, for some reason, he looked at the face of his guard. He saw that he was a young man. And he wasn't as rough and tough as everybody else was. And he said, if you don't make a big deal about it, I'll give you something that is worth your while. So the guard said, what do you have? So he reaches into his shoe for the other valuable object, an item that he has, and he pulls out his gold bar mitzvah watch and he puts it into the hand of the soldier and he says, take this, please. Don't take away that which is in the ground. And the soldier walks off. And the other Nazi comes. Nothing there. The line starts moving on. He reaches back into the ground. He takes the tefillin and he's zeicher. The entire war to have his tefillin, and he says every single day, this is my connection with Avinu Shebashamayim. Whatever mitzvahs he could do, whatever chesed he could be involved with, whatever he was able to do, he did to keep himself connected to Hashem. Miraculously, he survives the war. But he hasn't seen his mother or his father or siblings in years. And he's wondering, did they survive as well? And so there in the DP camps, as he's looking around, maybe he'll find them, maybe he'll spot them. He sees a relative of his. And he says, Uncle Yankel, my parents, you know where my parents are? And Yankel puts his arm around his nephew and he sits him down and he says, I'm sorry to tell you, you're the only survivor of your family. I was with them in the camps and I watched them all die. And now the boy is broken. He says, Rebbeinu Shalom, I kept my connection with you all of these years. I have nothing left in this world. He decides he's going to go back to his town. And he goes back to his old small village, his hometown, and he walks in there. Maybe he'll find somebody, maybe he'll find some memory, maybe there's someone that's going to be around that's part of his past. And he walks into the town and he looks around and he sees the town is like a ghost town, destroyed, houses wrecked, the shul is burnt down to the ground. There's nothing there. And as he goes to the shul, and he's standing where once there was this beautiful Beis HaKnesses that his father was the president of, the Chazan used to sing, he had his bar mitzvah there, and now it's just rubble on the ground. He begins crying, Ribono shel Olam, Ribono shel Olam. I tried and I tried and I tried and I tried. I have nothing left in my life. No parents, no siblings, no family, no nothing. He says, Ribono shel Olam, I tried my best to keep my connection to you. I'm going to ask you for one thing. If you're still there and you still care about me and you're still connected to me, I want you to somehow, in some way, I want you to show me the Sifrei Torah that used to belong to this shul, this Beis HaKnesses. I want to see them. I want to touch them. I want to know that the Torah in Klal Yisrael is not dead. And the boy starts crying.